Smoking on the Getty Green, the great gorilla coming out the Amazon. I cause a murder scene. Psycho, schizo, boy, I'm just a maniac.
So when it comes to the school system, it's always the A students who are the employees to the C students. So the C students are always the boss. And that's a saying that's been going around for many years. And the reason for why it's that way is because of a fixed versus growth mindset. Now, I could just be like any other self-improvement YouTuber talking about, oh, fixed versus growth mindset. But the reason why I'm making this video is because I just read about it and a different experiment and how it relates to myself, but also the findings from a famous neuroscientist. I recently read this book called Unscripted by MJ DeMarco, and I believe it's one of the chapters, maybe chapter 14. Let me pull it up real fast. Chapter 19, labeled The Special Scam, I'm Not Good at That. It's a fixed versus a growth mindset, and it breaks down this idea that if you're praised for being smart, you're not going to necessarily live up to the expectation all the time, versus a kid who is praised for their effort. You know, they might not live up to the expectation of being smart, but they're going to continually put in the effort based on the praise, based on the reward they essentially receive from that. Because someone who's praised for their effort, even if they may fail, they will continue to just bounce back and put in the same amount of effort they put in before, regardless of the outcome, which is something else that's very important. You got to do things for the sake of not being dependent on the outcome, right? Outcome independence. So to give you some context to this whole idea of a fixed versus growth mindset, praising effort versus praising just general intelligence, I'm gonna just quickly read this excerpt from a study from this chapter. So in one of her studies, Dweck and her colleagues gave 5th graders 10 easy problems from a nonverbal IQ test. After completing the problems, the kids were given either 2 types of praise. 1, fixed intelligence praise, such as, that's a really great score, you must be smart. Or 2, growth effort praise, such as, that's a really great score, you must have really worked hard. Later in the experiment, the kids were given an opportunity to do another test of their choice, one described as easy and one described as challenging. Their preference heavily swayed upon the type of praise they received prior. A whopping 67% of the intelligent praised kids opted for the easy test, while 92% of the effort praised chose the challenging one. Dweck goes on to explain how fixed mindset praise can create an environment where students feel the need to prove intelligence while simultaneously avoiding risks or challenges. She explains, as a result of the fixed praise, they enter a fixed mindset. They play it safe in the future and limit the growth of their talents. Further in the experiment, the students were given an impossible test designed to incite failure. Once again, the fixed mindset group performed statistically poorly against their effort praise counterparts, becoming frustrated easily and giving up early. And lastly, each group was given one final test as easy as the first. The results proved costly as well to the fixed mindset group. The average score dropped by 20%, while the average score of the effort praise group increased by 30%, a staggering 50% difference. So that goes to show, for example, I grew up with a bunch of kids who were just naturally intelligent, naturally smart. They were able to grasp on concepts very easily that kids who were effort-driven weren't necessarily able to grasp on. And that's something that I was always praised on. I was always praised on my effort, not necessarily my intelligence. I wasn't the smartest, but I pushed through and I put in a ton of work to make sure that my work was to the highest degree and that I somewhat understood it, or at least recognized the pattern to do well. So now in life, it's been about some time now, and the kids that I went to school with a while back, the smart kids tended to be underachievers. They're told they're smart, so they don't think they need to put in that much effort. And one thing that I noticed, especially with kids I went to school with a long time ago, they're told they're smart, and they're given a problem that they are not familiar with or that is challenging, so they just don't put the effort in because they haven't built up the tolerance to sit down and try to figure it out and, just be disciplined to figure out that issue from a critical thinking, deep thinking perspective, right? So the effort-based students, or those who are praised for their effort, such as myself, we're given the same problem, and we are just as clueless as a smart kid who doesn't know this problem, except we know the discipline to get through it and teach ourselves the best way to solve it. Another thing is that those kids who were praised for being smart, they didn't necessarily end up in the best circumstances these days. It's sad to see some of my old friends riddled by just instant dopamine hits, junk food, a little smoking, all that stuff, alcoholism. These smart kids, they gave up on themselves. And even though they're smart, they know they're smart. So why do they have to try? Even though I kind of feel like I'm smart now, I feel like I'm just starting to know things in the sense of the more I learn, the more I don't know, essentially. So even though kids tell me I'm smart, I'm like, well, I'm not necessarily smart. I just try hard. Yeah, I know a lot of things, but I don't know as much as I'd like to know. And going back to this whole study of the kids who were praised for their effort versus praised for just being intelligent or smart, Dr. Andrew Huberman, the neuroscientist that I was referring to earlier, I saw a video by him and I figured I would just put it in for reference. So here it is.
So these data really make clear that the effort praise is the way to go. Now, I know many people have heard this whole thing about don't reward the person, reward the effort, reward the verbs, as I'm referring to it. But it's actually pretty rare that we hear effort rewarded in everyday settings. And it is very common for us to overhear intelligence praise or talent praise. You know, a kid comes home with a trophy and we tell them, you're a great athlete, right? A kid comes home with a great report card and you go, you're so smart, congratulations. A kid comes home with some sort of win in their world, and we tend to give them a label because we like to think that that label will get internalized and they'll start to view themselves as a winner. We tell them, you can do anything, you're a winner, you're a winner. And of course, you don't want to tell children or yourself or any other adult, you're a loser, right? We do not want to do that. You don't want to undermine performance that way. But it's very clear based on this research and a lot of other papers similar to it, that we all have a giant blind spot sitting in our psychological field when we are getting and receiving praise. That really it is the sort of praise that's attached to the very efforts that led to the results that will lead to even improved results over time.
So, you know, the next time someone tells you, oh yeah, you're so smart for doing this right or getting this right, just respectfully decline and just tell them that you worked really hard. It was your effort that got you to that point. So anyways, with that being said, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Please check out some of my other videos. I have other self-improvement fitness videos I posted. And yeah, thank you for watching.